A substitute teacher thought my cochlear implants were earbuds and tried to rip them off my head, but when I defended myself, I got suspended. So, we are going legal. I was born deaf to a hearing family. My family and I sign at home, but I need to speak while at school, as the high school I go to isn't the most accessible or disability friendly. When I was 9, my parents paid for me to get a surgery to receive cochlear implants CIs, which I only really use when at school or out with my hearing friends who don't sign. I attend a mainstream school, and as I stated, it isn't disability friendly. Now, on to the situation at hand. Yesterday, I was wearing a beanie in class. Now, usually that wouldn't be a problem when it is my normal teacher, but yesterday, we had a sub. The beanie I was wearing was covering the transmitter of my CI, while the part that hooks onto my ear was noticeable. Usually, my teachers are aware of my CI and know that it, in fact, is not a music device, so I never have any trouble. But this was a sub-teacher. She wasn't aware of my CIs at first. Keep in mind that at first, while doing some assignments, this sub, whom we'll call Mrs. K, came up to my desk. I don't know what exactly she thought my CIs were, but she didn't like them. Originally, she questioned me and told me to remove them immediately, or she'd have to write me up. I explained to her, made her very aware that what I was wearing was for me to hear her, and even took off my beanie to show her. She pretty much called bull poop and attempted to take my CIs off. This was an absolute no-no. I, on instinct, slapped her hands away and stood up before starting to lecture her, telling her she has no right to try and take my CIs. After this little stir, I sat back down, thinking that the situation was most likely over. I was wrong. A little bit afterwards, she came up from behind me and literally snatched my CIs from off my head. After this, I got up yet again and started full-on yelling at this lady, telling her that she is not allowed to take assistive devices and threatened to report her. I know in this situation, getting physical wasn't the right response, but I was scared as hell that she'd break them, so I grabbed her hands and tried to get my CIs back, which I didn't. Of course, after that she called the principal in, and me having no clue what the hell was being said, I just straight up told the principal that she took my CIs and isn't giving them back. In the end, I got my CIs back, but obviously due to me putting my hands on a staff member I got suspended, and my principal said I was in the wrong for the situation. My dad is threatening to report this sub-teacher to the administration. Update. One thing I do know about this whole thing is that my parents are going to be confronting the administration and reporting the teacher, the principal as well. Also, they're going to try and get my suspension removed from my record. I also know that my parents are done with me going to a mainstream school, because believe it or not, I've dealt with plenty of similar situations like this with students, rather than teachers, and my parents are pretty sick of it, me as well, so they want me to go to a deaf high school, whether all this hopefully won't be a problem. But the issue with that is that there isn't a deaf school in the area I live, so they're wanting to move. Though with the economy we live in, I don't know how well that will work out. Update 2. So my parents talked to me yesterday about what they plan on doing, but I didn't want to update immediately, because I kind of just wanted to process the information first, and hang out with my friends. To start off, my parents do in fact plan on taking legal action against the sub and the school. Legal actions against the substitute because of what she did, and then legal actions against the school for not reprimanding her, as well as continuing to let me be bullied throughout the 3 years I've attended this school, regardless of how many times we've reported it. I have a couple of my friends who will give input about what happened as they were there and saw what happened, so hopefully there isn't any chance of the substitute working at that school again. Don't get mad at my friends for not sticking up for me. My friends are very quiet and don't like to confront things. With further education, my parents don't want me going to mainstream schools anymore, so they are pulling me out of the school I've been going to, and then I'm going to do some online work until we move to an area with a deaf school. I've gotten some information from people about some deaf schools in the US, so my parents have been looking into those schools.